G'day, ZiggyD here and welcome back for Cooking with ZiggyD episode 2. Tonight I'm going to be making ZiggyD's Okonomiyaki. Now okonomiyaki is Japanese pancakes. They are a savory pancake and there's lots of different ways you can make them. You can put all sorts of different things. Seafood is a very common ingredient in them, but you mix a lot of different stuff. Cabbages, onions, bacons, meats, seafoods, kind of whatever you can fit in them. So I really like it. It's one of my favorite things to make because you can use whatever leftovers you have and just chuck it in there. So if you have leftovers from a barbecue the day before, you can just chop that up and put it in there. It's kind of like day after fryer. It's also fantastic if you have a hangover, or if you are planning on doing some drinking that night. It's great drinking accompanied food, but also great gamer food as well. It's loaded with good stuff and is pretty easy to make as well. So let's jump straight into it by looking at some of the ingredients. If you will take a step back, camera lady, and we'll show some of the ingredients. We just have some leftovers and some core ingredients. Core ingredient for okonomiyaki is cabbage. Pretty much I'll just buy a cabbage and some spring onions, and you can make okonomiyaki multiple times out of that. Any sort of that style of cabbage works just fine. So we'll prepare that in a moment. Spring onions is also good. You guys might call these shallots or green onions or something. Lots of different names for them. I like using mushrooms. You'll need about 2 eggs. You'll need some white self-raising flour or brown self-raising flour. Any of those are fine. I'm going to bulk it out with a little bit of carrot, and I'm going to be using pre-cooked chorizo sausages for the inner meat, the flavorful meat. When it comes to meat ingredients, you should use the most flavorful meats you can find. So something tasty, something with a bit of spice, something with a bit of kick to it. So smoky hams, bacon, chorizo sausages, all those sorts of things are good. Or if you like seafood, I'm not a big fan of seafood myself, you can chuck a bunch of prawns or crab meat or something like that in there. And also bacon is a good staple as well. You can use bacon inside and on the outside as well as a bit of a lattice. Light soy sauce, can you see that all right? Good stuff. I like this Japanese barbecue sauce, which can be used in or on top of. We'll also use Kewpie mayonnaise and just some pepper.
Okay,
oh, egg. Oops.
Every time you cook, something lands on the floor.
This was not scripted.
Tychus.
Yum. Yummy egg.
It was a double yolk egg too. Oh, maybe not.
No, it just cracked.
I'm gonna have to wash him now.
Oops.
No,
it's okay.
It's
Good boy.
okay.
Yeah, good boy. Here we go. I'll pick up the
man.
eggshells. You have the egg. Good boy. Here you go. Okay. Oops. Alright, well, please do ensure that eggs do not roll off tables. I better get another egg. I'm literally just going to take a big mixing bowl, get a nice big one, and I'm just going to literally, I really freeform this, so I just dump an amount of flour in there. Let's go with like that much flour. It's kind of like making a normal pancake mix, though usually you would go like 1-to-1 with milk or something. I'm literally just going to be using water. In some okonomiyaki recipes, they use like a soup, like a broth. So you could use something like that if you wanted to. You could use chicken stock.
It's about a cup and a half that you've got in there.
Just an amount of water, and I'll just mix it and see what consistency it ends up being. It's pretty freeform, and that's like the way I like to cook. I'm terrible at baking, though we did okay with the cookies last time. But when it comes to freeform cooking, that's the type of cooking I like to do. So this is probably going to be pretty thick. So what I'll do is I'll mix this up, try and get some of those lumps out of there. You can use a whisk if you want. I'm just using a spatula. Doesn't have to be fancy. And then what I'm going to do is actually pour some soy sauce into this. So my replacement for not using soup, soy sauce all over my hand, is to use some light soy sauce. So I'll just pour a good whack of that in there. So that'll flavor it. You don't need to add any more salt or anything like it. Look how filthy this thing is. Soy sauce is the worst thing to pour in the world. Look at that.
That's a lot of soy sauce.
Yeah, that'll be good. That's pretty much what I did last time. Amy doesn't trust me with any cooking, but it always ends up good.
I'm fine. I'm just trying to guess to give people an idea, but
it's a nice. It's a dash. It's glop.
it's like maybe 2 tablespoons.
It's a shmalopable amount of soy sauce. That's fine. That was actually probably a bit more soy sauce than I used last time, but I'm sure it'll be okay. So I'm going to cut the ends off the shallots, and I'm also going to cut the crappy bits off because these are a couple days old. So I'm just really going to just take the ends off because those are all pretty floppy and crappy. So we'll do that. And then I'm pretty much just going to half those. So we use the soft halves first, and we'll just slice up the soft halves pretty roughly. Watch your fingers.
Such incorrect knife form.
I'll incorrect your knife form in a minute.
It's the way you're holding the knife.
Oh, I like to grip the blade slightly as well. You don't need good form. It's about spirit and passion. So we'll chop those guys up pretty roughly like that. And then these sections here, you'll want to do a bit finer because they're a bit crunchy otherwise. All right, now a good idea is to rinse this stuff out with a sieve as well because it can get pretty dirty. Hopefully without getting it all over the ground. Looks like Tychus has done a good job of cleaning up the egg over there on the floor. That's cool. And try to, it doesn't really matter if it's a bit wet, there's already water in the mix anyway. Dump it into the batter. And we don't need too much cabbage. I used about that much before, so I'll probably do about this much this time. And what we're just gonna do is gonna chop up the cabbage pretty fine as well. So just whatever works like that, just rough it up. Okay, and then I'm gonna do it the other way as well to make them kind of like everything goes into small little squares really. Makes it a bit easier to make the actual okonomiyaki or pancake shape. Alrighty, so that should be pretty good. We can just dump that straight in too. Nice and rough. And we can mix some of that through there so the batter will coat everything in there and will sort of turn pretty moist. I may need to add more butter. I may have not done enough butter this time around. Chop up our mushrooms. So I just go like a couple chops across, a couple chops down, just making them pretty small. Just roughly diced up mushrooms. And we can dump everything in there as well. Alrighty, so I just mixed up a little bit more batter there. That's usually the consistency I'm for. That's actually heaps of butter. That's gonna be plenty. I also took a little bit of grating up the carrot as well. So there is one small grated carrot. We'll dump that in there. Good for health, vitamins and stuff. So I'll just mix that through. And it's extra bulky. I don't know how traditional carrot is in okonomiyaki, but this is ZiggyD's okonomiyaki. And it is good. I also have used sweet potato before, though I like to cook the sweet potato a little bit beforehand, which is also pretty good. Okay, so next I'm going to put the eggs in there as well. So crack one egg, throw it in there. That graceful egg cracking. Oh yeah. And smash, smash. Doesn't matter if some of the eggshell gets in there, it's just extra roughage. It puts extra hairs on your chest. All right, now let's mix that through as well. Could have been helpful to actually mix that through in the batter beforehand, but whatever, we're free-forming it. This is how it goes. This is how you make ZiggyD okonomiyaki. You have to kind of make it up as you go along. That's part of the tactics. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so next I'm going to slice up nice and thin our chorizo. So slice up chorizo there. I'll do that into little quarters there. So we'll make little cubes. So any old barbecue meats or anything like that, whatever you find in the dumpster or around the corner of the supermarket, or you know, some smoky bacon left over from the night before, or some spicy chicken, something like that. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty good. So try and get it all pretty small so it all mixes through nicely. And I'll do another one just there. Smells pretty good, huh? Mm-hmm. Do make sure your meat is pre-cooked though, because although everything will cook through nicely in the okonomiyaki, you won't be able to cook like meat in the okonomiyaki so much. Now I will do a little bit of bacon in here as well, so I'm going to just cube this up nice and small as well. You can pre-cook the bacon a little bit as well, but this is fine. Bacon is smoked and cooked anyway. So I'll just cube this up nice and small in there as well. Good amounts of meat filler. So good. Let's get all that in there. And then I'll crack some pepper in there real quick. Okay. Now Amy doesn't like too much pepper, so we'll only just do a little bit. She's a bit sensitive to spicy things. So, and then we'll just mix all this through as well. Oh, so good. If you've never seen okonomiyaki before, this might seem kind of strange. It's kind of like I suppose it's kind of similar to fritters. They're kind of like corn fritters and stuff, aren't they? There you go. So the last thing to do then is to take some more bacon just here. And we're gonna kind of just like do slices of bacon like this. And this will be like latticed or placed over the top of the okonomiyaki a little bit down the line. Now what I'll probably do is just half these guys as well. So there we go. This is just basic shortcut bacon, but you can get fancier bacon if you want. Now what we're gonna do is put some oil in the pan and get it heating up. So you wanna preheat the pan pretty good. So we won't need too much oil, just a little dollop like that. And let's get this thing cooking. And we'll spread that oil around. That should do the trick. Alright, I'll let that preheat up for a second. Okay, now you can do these in little pancake shapes. However, I like to go the one pan style, so I'm gonna dump a metric crap ton of this in here. And what we're gonna do then is basically just sort of pat it down. Try and do this nice and quickly before it starts to cook too much. Pat it down so that the mixture, all the stuff, all the innards are nice and flat. So let me get all this in there like that. And then you can kind of just scoop the edges in a little bit like that. And what I'll end up doing is probably slicing this up before I flip it, or I'll try and do some pro skills flipping all in one go. And then, before we lay some bacon across the top like this, so it really doesn't have to be fancy, but you can make it fancy if you want to. So, I'll lay these guys down there. I didn't do a very good job of cutting it up, but this is all fine. And then what we want to do is grab like a brush or something. What I'm going to do is going to get some of the mixture and use this to kind of pat the bacon down a bit. So this will stop the bacon from sticking to the pan when you flip it over. And yes, we will be having to flip this over, so it should be interesting. So you can kind of just pat this down with the mixture and push it into the rest of the stuff there. So it's this there. And that makes it kind of cool and fancy. So, final step while we wait for this to cook. This will take like 5 minutes to cook. On the one side, at least. I'm going to cover it up, and there we go. Oh! Yes, cool, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So, basically, you want to kind of get an idea that the floury mixture is kind of cooked all the way through, which it does look to be. Now, the safe strategy would be to cut this into quarters and then flip it, or to simply do smaller okonomiyaki. But that's not the action. That's not the Max Powers way. That's not the ZiggyD way. So what I'm going to do right here is we're going to attempt to flip this massive okonomiyaki just here, and it is not going to go well. I promise you this. But let's try anyway, shall we? Oh, it worked. Kind of. It only split a little bit. Oh yeah. All right. So you don't need to cover it again. You can just let that side cook. Now that cooked for about 3-4 minutes on a medium to low temperature. If you direct your eyes just over here, medium to low temperature, I was somewhere around there. So we're just going to kind of like cook the other side now. Leave that for 2-3 more minutes, and you don't need to rush it. Now you'll notice we have a bunch of other mixture here, more than enough for another big pancake like that, for another big okonomiyaki. We'll have a whole extra one for breakfast, like this is going to be my name is dinner just here, once I cook up a second one after we've finished eating, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm so hungry now. Alright, now I'm going to try and do this a fancy way just here. Hold on, this is what we'll do.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to burn myself. Oh man. Huh. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, look at that thing. So, for serving, I highly recommend a Japanese barbecue sauce. So I'll be spreading this on top like so. Just whacking that on there. Oh yeah. And then the next stage is Kewpie mayonnaise, which you should be able to find these in your Asian grocer or supermarket, hopefully. Kewpie mayonnaise is just Japanese mayonnaise. So we're going to squirt this on here like this.
It comes in a bag with little, like, you know, those old dolls?
Yeah, it looks like a little fat baby doll on there. But there you go. There it is. Ta! Now screw you guys, I'm going to eat. Nom 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 nom.